From a top-secret location, it's the spies who love me, bringing together MeTV's top super spies to fight evil at a memorable moment's notice. They're daring.
That's right.
Brave.
Now what are we gonna do?
The best we can.
Suave.
Does that apply to me, Oscar?
Possibly.
And smart.
The yellow finger in the gun trick.
Maxwell Smart.
MeTV Fresno, channel 43.6 and Xfinity 187.
Hi, I'm John Mallos. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this day. Glad you're along on a Thursday morning. Two guests in the studio today. One is a congressman who's been here many times before. You'll recognize him, of course. He's from the Central Valley. He's here to talk about Hillary and Benjamin Netanyahu and all the rest. The second half hour of the program, we'll talk to Charles C. Johnson, an internet journalist, gotnews.com. He's been here before, too. 436 MeTV, option 11. Back in a moment.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
Welcome back to the program, my friends. Glad you're here on a Thursday morning. Of course, as always, we are here live from 10 to 11 o'clock. Got a full hour here. Two guests today. Glad for that. You're watching us on Comcast, channel 187, 43.6, and 13.1 right now. Of course, this is part of the live broadcast here. And then later on, you can catch the replay at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 13.6. That's the station on YouTube, and 8 o'clock tonight, 4.6 Biz TV. And then, you know, I mean, call me a Johnny-come-lately, my friends, but you can catch me on Twitter. You know that my son had to help me open up that account. I have to update it, though. I've got to get updated on Twitter. It is you know what? I got to tell you, it's a hassle keeping up with social media day in and day out. But anyway, that's the Twitter account. I'll get up to date here in just a few moments. I do want to talk about our first guest. He is a congressman here from the Central Valley, well-known, been in office for many years, and we're going to talk about a lot of things on the table today. But one of the things I want to talk about, and one of the first things I'm going to talk about, is this email controversy surrounding Hillary Clinton. She may want to run for president next year, as you may know. You know she's the former Secretary of State, opened up a private email account as opposed to using a government email source. She held a news conference just the other day. She was barraged with a series of questions. Here is the explanation coming from Hillary Clinton.
I know there have been questions about my email, so I want to address that directly, and then I will take a few questions from you. There are four things I want the public to know. First, when I got to work as Secretary of State, I opted for convenience to use my personal email account, which was allowed by the State Department, because I thought it would be easier to carry just one device for my work and for my personal emails instead of two. Looking back, it would have been better if I'd simply used a second email account and carried a second phone, but at the time, this didn't seem like an issue. Second, the vast majority of my work emails went to government employees at their government addresses, which meant they were captured and preserved immediately on the system at the State Department. Third, after I left office, the State Department asked former secretaries of state for our assistance in providing copies of work-related emails from our personal accounts. I responded right away and provided all my emails that could possibly be work-related, which totaled roughly 55,000 printed pages, even though I knew that the State Department already had the vast majority of them.
Live in our studio to talk about this now is Congressman Devin Nunes, a Republican, of course, from the Central Valley. He is the chair of the Intelligence Committee, and who better to talk about this than our congressman here today. You're welcome to join the conversation. 436-ME-TV, option 11. He is on a tight schedule. He's only here for about 20 minutes, so we're going to be back with our interview and our program in just a moment.
When you're looking for Whirlpool innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, will help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified Whirlpool appliances save you energy and money and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Back here with the program, get right to it. Congressman, good to have you, sir.
John, it's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks. I think
Thank you to Ventura TV also.
Thank you very much for your time. I know how busy you are. So I was watching the Netanyahu speech online. I saw you there in the House chamber, of course, and very interesting. But I do want to talk about this. We'll talk about that in a moment, but I do want to talk about the Hillary email situation. Kind of hard to believe that she set up a private email as Secretary of State. Now, what's your take on this?
It's really hard to explain. I think this is going to be a major problem for her moving forward because she knew what the law was. If you work for the executive branch, because of the laws that are in place, you're supposed to use the government email that's provided to you. And if you use an outside email address, if you happen to accidentally do anything business related, then you should always be making sure that those are filed in a spot where the government has access to them, because the American people have the right to go back, the press, media, and could be for court cases. There's a whole bunch of reasons that you would have to be able to access those email accounts in the future.
If she knew it was against the law, why did she do it, in your opinion? I know you're not a mind reader, you're not a psychic, you're not the amazing Kreskin, but what prompts someone to do something like this?
Look, I think common sense would say that she was planning on running for president, and I'm just speculating here, and that she knew that she didn't want to have anybody be able to comb through her emails. So they set up a separate server. I mean, it looks like they, from this common sense perspective, if you set up your own personal server and then you were changing email addresses, you were solely doing that to get around the law.
If she was emailing the White House, wouldn't it be a red flag that you automatically would notice if that's a government email account, right?
Yeah, I mean.
So somebody at the White House had to know.
My assumption would be that she was communicating with limited people, right? Because she is the Secretary of State, so there would be limited people that would be on her email chain and email list. So a lot of the people were probably her close confidants. And now it brings into question whether or not you're going to have other people that are associated with the former secretary, if they're going to be involved in this also.
Caller, you're on the air with the congressman. Go ahead, quickly.
Good morning, Mr. Congressman. We all know that the Clintons have always done what they want to do, and that can't be a surprise to any of us. But a question that I have for you, I'm one of those people that listen to the hearings on C-SPAN for both Senate and Congress. And yesterday I caught one of the senators say this, and I want to get your opinion. It surprised me that he said, our enemies don't fear us, and our allies don't believe us. What do you think about this?
Okay, thank you.
Well, I'm not sure. I don't know what hearing it was. Must have been a Senate hearing because the House of Representatives is not meeting this week. Perhaps it was on Iran, maybe, is what the caller's referring to. So I would look. There's no question that this is the most difficult time in modern history in terms of the challenges that we face across the globe. Virtually the whole world is on fire to some degree or another. I mean, we can talk about the situation with Iran. We can situate the radical Islam, which is a multifaceted problem that stretches from the Philippines to Morocco. And then don't forget about Ukraine. And then you have the ever-growing problems with China You have the Muslim extremism that's now down into sub-Sahara Africa. Most folks might have saw over the weekend that Boko Haram, which has long been affiliated with Al-Qaeda, now has pledged its allegiance to ISIS. And then you have the problems with Venezuela and all over South America, the drug violence in Mexico. I could probably keep naming off problems here if I stay, if I keep going, but I can just stop right there for a while.
Let me ask you, what should be done about the Hillary Clinton email situation? Should Congress open up an investigation? Should they open up hearings? Should she be forced to testify before Congress? And the second half of that question is, okay, she turned over 55,000 emails. Why should it be up to her what emails to turn over? Why shouldn't it be up to the Justice Department?
Look, I don't think that this is going to be a easy problem for her to get out of and explain her way out of. As I understand it, she just provided boxes of papers, of emails. Well, that's not even sufficient, right? I mean, you should be able to provide the server and then be able to go, so it's easily accessible by the public if these emails ever have to come forward. So the issue that she's going to have, where she's going to have to deal specifically with the Congress, is going to be with the Benghazi Select Committee, because no one has ever been able to tell where she was that night, what she did, what she knew, who she communicated with, because all of that was gone. Well, now we know why it was gone, because it was never there in the first place, because it was on a different server.
You think those emails are gone?
Who knows? Well, nothing existed
during Benghazi.
During the Benghazi attack.
Yeah,
it's always been said there were no emails. Well, now we find out. Well, there was a separate server.
Yeah.
Right. And so now we know why there's no emails, because there were no emails on the .gov servers.
Should there be hearings on Capitol Hill?
Well, that's what I was saying. So on the Benghazi Select Committee, for sure, I think they've already said that she's going to have to come at least twice before the committee. I'm assuming on two separate issues. One's probably the email, and I'm not sure what the other one's about.
Do you think she put national security at risk?
Well, I mean, hopefully she was smart enough not to put classified information on to the networks. Now, that would be classified information that maybe she would get from our intelligence agencies. I doubt that she did that. I would hope she did not do that. But I will tell you that our adversaries, our enemies out there across the globe, they want to be able to figure out what it is that's going through the policymakers' minds. So she would have been arguably one of the top targets by the Chinese, the Iranians, the Russians, all who have very good capabilities to not only spy on their own people, but spy on the American people. And I would think, just common sense would tell you, that she's got to be right up there with the top policymakers.
Where is that server now? Do we know?
I don't know. I mean, somebody may know, but I don't know.
And can Congress order a subpoena to get that server?
I would assume that that's what the Benghazi Select Committee is in the process of doing now.
Yeah, because that'll be a telltale sign about what happened in Benghazi,
right? And
what with the communication between the Secretary of State and maybe the White House.
Yeah, and it's going to end up in this, and this is a typical Clinton. This is typical Clinton fashion, right? So, clearly, if the emails were where they're supposed to be, they'd be easily accessible to anybody who wants them at the, for the right reasons, right, going through the law. Well, now we're going to be in this gray area, right? Because if she's going to be able to say, well, I don't have the emails anymore because the server's gone. Now where are we at legally, right? Like because it's unprecedented in history. I mean, first of all, the internet's relatively new.
Yeah.
That we didn't, normally there was hard documents that existed, so you knew if somebody destroyed them. But in this case, the law is not in place because nobody really expected the law to be broke like this.
Yeah. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air with the congressman. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, a direct question to the congressman.
Yeah.
I'm an independent voter anyway, but my feeling is this: that there isn't a Republican candidate right now that's going to be able to take her in the next election. Okay, it has something to do with picking on a woman, all that. I think a lot of women are irritated, but this will take months and months and months to clarify. I mean, to clear everything. and they can choose and pick their own emails and whatnot, and they're giving. It's not like I have to give it to you today, but at the same time, a lot of myself included. I think it's a witch hunt just on her. I mean, why pick on her anyway? Because they understand that if they don't get something on her for the next election, they have no one that can be president on the Republican side, because there are at least 10 candidates who are going for it, So they don't have a clear front runner. That's the only reason I call. Okay. I'm not criticizing the Republicans more, but it is a little witch hunt, and so you're going to irritate a lot of women, that's for sure. But that's all I wanted to know.
Thank you for the call. I appreciate it very much.
Well, this gentleman's entitled to his opinion, and look, I think that the Republicans have 20 guys right now running for president, and we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know who's going to get through that process. And on the Democratic side, there's going to be a primary there too, and this I think opens it up. There are going to be more and more Democrats that are going to be running for president now because of this. And remember, this story was not broke by Republicans or conservative magazines or conservative think tanks or anything like that. This story was broke by Democratic operatives who I think are worried about what lays out there, and I think this is going to be a problem moving forward.
Another quick call here. Go ahead, caller. Short on time here. The congressman has limited time, so quick question, please.
Yes, I have a question for Mr. Nunes. Mm-hmm. He's talking all this, crap, I can say that, about Hillary Clinton. He's a Republican. She's a Democrat. But when the Democrats start with the primaries for Hillary Clinton and all that, they don't care about these emails, and lots of people don't care about these emails. So that's all I just wanted to say right now.
Thank you very much. I don't think it's a Democrat-Republican issue. It's whether or not you put national security at risk, I think.
Well, there's a whole lot of issues that matter to this, but I think the last two callers are talking about the politics of this. And I just want to reiterate again that the politics of this are very simple. The Democrat operatives broke this story. Yeah. So someone leaked in there that she was not using a government account, which had to have come from a Democrat.
Yeah.
So this is an internal fight with the Democrats. As far as I'm concerned, I think you're right, John. I mean, from my perch that I sit on as chairman of the Intelligence Committee, I want to make sure that there was no protocol broken and that we didn't leak any classified information. I mean, that's my role in this. It has nothing to do with Republican or Democrat.
Hey, limited time, and I want to get to a couple of other topics here. Amnesty. All right, we all know what's going on right now. The president made that speech a few months ago. Then the judges overruled that. Where do we stand now? Where's this thing headed? Where are we going? How many illegals do we have in this country? Is it 11 million? Is it 15 million? Is it 30 million? Do we even know? And what should happen?
Well, I always say that my position since I first ran for Congress has not changed on this, that we need a comprehensive fix to the immigration system.
What would that be?
Well, the two biggest problems that you have to solve is, number one, and they kind of work together. And there's been nobody in Washington has been able to fix the problem because it's very, very difficult, okay? Mm-hmm. And here's why. One, the border is very porous. It's not easy to secure, okay? Mm-hmm. At the same time, you have to have some type of work permit system in place for folks that are going to work in agriculture, folks that are foreigners that may have special skills with computer technology or scientists, things of that nature. So that work permit program has got to be fixed. If you fix the work permit program along with securing the border at the same time, those two combined would, I think, make a lot of the problem go away, because then you could have things like E-Verify that would allow for simple employers to run simple checks on whether or not someone has a legal work permit, either they're an American citizen or they have a work permit. But without that, until you solve that problem, immigration is not going to be solved. Sadly, what the president did is he kind of took his toys and went home and decided that he was just going to create executive actions, which is not even an executive order. An executive order you can kind of challenge. An executive action, nobody knows exactly what that means. The courts have now stepped in and have said that they're not going to that they put a stay on that, so he can't do anything at this point.
They don't acknowledge what he did on that executive action.
Right. So it leaves, the Congress has limited capability to rein this in because we don't even know what it is. So we left open an opportunity, through the appropriations process, which is essentially a legislative vehicle. But the appropriations process is not the place that you're going to fix the larger immigration problem, no matter what it is.
So Congress
it was a legislative vehicle that was left open that finally that window closed last week, and so now it's in the courts.
So quickly, Congress has limited power as to what they can do in this situation?
Right, because we don't know what it is he's actually going to do, right? And we believe what he's going to do is going to be unconstitutional, but that's still making its way through the courts.
Yeah.
So until people actually are given whatever it is he's going to give them, some type of status, then that has to be challenged through the courts.
We know you got to go. I do want to touch on this Benjamin Netanyahu speech real quick here as a final issue, and I want to roll the videotape on Benjamin Netanyahu talking to a joint session of Congress about a week ago, and he was invited by the House Speaker John Boehner. Our congressman here, Devin Nunes, attended that speech. Here, let's roll the videotape and listen to the Prime Minister of Israel.
Listen to Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, Iran's chief terrorist proxy. He said, "If all the Jews gather in Israel, it will save us the trouble of chasing them down around the world." But Iran's regime is not merely a Jewish problem, any more than the Nazi regime was merely a Jewish problem. The 6 million Jews murdered by the Nazis were but a fraction of the 60 million people killed in World War II. So too, Iran's regime poses a grave threat, not only to Israel, but also to the peace of the entire world.
Basically, there's a riff here. The Prime Minister wants all of those nuclear reactors destroyed. The President says, no, we'll give them 10 years. We'll negotiate with them. I guess other countries are in on this. No final deal has been made. What's really going on here? I mean, how do we contain? If we're not negotiating with Iran, then how do we control Iran and prevent them from getting the nuclear bomb?
Yeah, so I can tell you right now, allowing this to continue, in which I think what the Prime Minister was saying, and many of us in Congress agree with this, the way the negotiations are going now is going to guarantee that the Iranians get a nuclear weapon. The best way to move forward would have been to leave the sanctions in place, to continue tough negotiations with the Iranians. There was always discussions going on. Mm-hmm. The problem is now that things are being put into paper, the deal is a bad deal. And so the Prime Minister who lives in that region, remember, this is, I think, one of the key points that he made right at the very beginning of his speech to the Congress. And you were talking about Twitter earlier, John. The Supreme Leader took to Twitter and tweeted out that the Israeli nation needed to be destroyed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard him say that, yeah.
These are not people that we should be negotiating with, right?
So you're saying negotiations with Iran is a bad idea to begin with?
Right. All you can do is have the sanctions in place and have them to come forward and deal on a, kind of like we do bilaterally with countries, but to have official negotiations like these are these P5+1 talks, so there's all these other countries involved in this, it's just it's a no-go zone for me.
All right, quickly, Lauren, if you could put up the full screens of the nuclear deal according to the Prime Minister. One more question here, and we'll let you go. I know you got to roll out of here. This leaves Iran with a vast nuclear infrastructure and relies on international inspectors to prevent a quick breakout time. The breakout time with Iran is estimated to be 1 year or less. Inspectors document violations. They don't stop them. Iran defies its inspectors. The next one, Lauren, put that up. Breakout time is the amount of time it takes to gather and or enrich the necessary amount of uranium and plutonium to make and launch a nuclear missile. Not a single nuclear facility will be destroyed under this deal. Thousands of centrifuges used to enrich uranium would be left spinning, and thousands more temporarily disconnected, but not destroyed. Is that the crux of the problem?
And what's not in there, John, is you don't have in there what is it that we don't know. Remember, it was just a few years ago that the intelligence community, all of the CIA and all the DIA and all the folks that we rely on for information didn't even know that some of these facilities existed. So We're only talking about in those negotiations you just put on the screen, those are the facilities that we know about. My guess is look, if they were willing to cheat before, they're going to be willing to cheat again, and I can't safely go out and tell my constituents that the Iranians are not already building more nuclear weapons that we don't know about, because my guess is they are. And but we just don't have the information.
And quickly, yes or no, good idea for the Prime Minister to speak to Congress?
Oh, absolutely. It's the Congress's authority. We're a separate branch of government. Don't forget that the Speaker also invited the Pope to come and speak, Pope Francis to come and speak to the Congress. He's going to come and speak, I think, in the fall. Mm-hmm. He didn't tell the White House about it, and the White House isn't complaining about it.
And the Speaker, John Boehner, is here in Fresno tomorrow.
He'll be here tomorrow, and then I think he's making his way through the valley over the next couple days. And it's good to have him out here because he needs to see the water problem firsthand.
Congressman, I'm going to let you roll out of here. I don't want to be blamed for you being late to your other appointments. So
thanks, Sean.
We really appreciate
Absolutely.
your
My
time.
pleasure as always.
Thank you, and come back again.
Okay, thank you. Good luck on Twitter.
Oh my gosh. What a headache. All right.
Thank you.
Anyway, thanks to the Congressman, Devin Nunes, here in the Central Valley. Back with more of our program in just a moment.
Attention all units. We have reports of 2 motorcycle cops protecting California's highway.
That's for us, good buddy.
The Men of Chips are on MeTV.
Hi, I'm John Baker. I'm John Baker. It's Officer Baker.
He's the blonde one.
Hi there.
Officer Poncherello, man. Frank Poncherello. Oh, I'm Frank Poncherello.
And he's the one who's Eric Estrada.
There's no way I wouldn't remember a name like that.
Catch the blonde one and the one who's Eric Estrada.
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
Frigidaire. It means the first refrigerator. It means a history of innovations that help make your home life better. And now we introduce the new Frigidaire French door refrigerator with over 100 ways to organize for maximum flexibility. Built with adjustable flip up and slide under shelving and stackable crisper drawers. It's the refrigerator that flexes to fit it all, no matter what your day will bring. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Tune in to Heartland for the best in true country music. Relive vintage specials, one-of-a-kind concerts, and country music's earliest videos. Heartland is the heart of country, the only place where you can find country music, country stars, and country lifestyles 24/7. Heartland, the heart of country.
Now on channel 13.2.
The Ballad of Andy and Barney. Andy and Barney were lawmen, bravest you ever did see. Warned every crook in the record book to stay out of Mayberry. They were the law.
Yes, they were the law, and they didn't know fear.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I guess to sum it up, you could say there's 3 reasons why there's so little crime in Mayberry. There's Andy, and there's me, and baby makes 3.
Now on MeTV Fresno.
We get our speed from Mom and Dad. They do stuff super fast. And now they got this new kitchen, so they're even faster. So they can help us with our free throws.
The time-saving Frigidaire Gallery line with a quick preheat and smudge-proof stainless steel that resists fingerprints and cleans easily. It's mealtime in no time, from start to clean. Frigidaire Gallery.
Save more during Frigidaire Gallery bonus days when you buy 3 or more qualifying appliances. See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the low-price leading brand's reliable advice place. The Frigidaire Gallery Dream Kitchen Get Yours Today place. You with me? Right now, get huge savings on select Frigidaire Gallery appliances and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months at the hometown low-price think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
watch Dr. TV on over-the-air channel 13.9.
Want to create something extraordinary? Create perfection. Our lifestyle appliances make it easy. KitchenAid, Ventura TV appliance, and you, when only the best will do.
You can find movies on over-the-air channel 13.3. Movies. Our name says it all.
Back here on the program on this Thursday morning, our thanks to Congressman Devin Nunes, of course, here from the Central Valley, the chair for the Intelligence Committee, and talking about Hillary Clinton and talking about Benjamin Netanyahu, amnesty. Hey, I want to put up the question of the day, and that is about Hillary Clinton. And I want to talk about these emails. Will Hillary Clinton's email snafu affect her presidential run in 2016? Here to talk about this now, because he's an insider. He is an internet journalist. Live in our studio is Charles C. Johnson, a return guest. You might recall he has broken many stories on gotnews.com, including that Ebola case down there in Texas. Welcome back to the program, sir.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good to have you. So the congressman was here and kind of go over and maybe assess his conversation with me.
Well, you know, it's interesting. You know, he's very close, obviously, with Speaker Boehner. Speaker Boehner is going to be here. Boehner remains quite controversial among the Republican caucus, so it was kind of interesting to hear him kind of speak for himself. What I found interesting, the only thing I kind of quibbled with him was, you said that we need a guest worker program on the amnesty issue. We have 21 guest worker programs currently in law.
He said we have to fix that program first and then work through the rest. I don't know what you thought.
Yeah, you know, I think he said even that we needed a new one, and we have you know, 21 thus far. I don't know what a 22nd would do, but it was interesting to see kind of your representation. It's kind of interesting to meet my congressman. It's the first time I've met him since I moved here, so it was cool. Thanks for that, John.
Oh, hey, no problem. Thank you for coming in on short notice.
Sure, no problem.
I appreciate it very much, and we always enjoy having you here. And you're going to be back again here in less than a couple of weeks to talk about other issues. But I want to get to this Hillary Clinton thing because, you know, even Dianne Feinstein said on Meet the Press this past Sunday, hey, Hillary's got to come clean. She's got to confront these emails. You saw the news conference. You know this inside and out. You reported on this. Did her news conference answer all the questions?
No, I don't think so. I mean, so we were at Got News. We were the first people to break about how Justin Cooper, who was a Clinton aide, was one of the ones who set up these email accounts. We also, which we're going to be doing later today, we also identified that the company that set up the servers is also affiliated with Dubai, where the Clintons have a number of kind of financial and economic arrangements. So no, I mean, there's some basic questions that she didn't answer, such as, you know, why did they make this decision? Are there other members of their kind of government within a government, the kind of Clinton world, that also have private emails? We know that that's true, and we know that Hillary has said on tape that she she doesn't write a lot of emails because she's worried about subpoenas. And given the numerous kind of Clinton scandals over the years, there's an obvious reason that she would worry about such things.
One of the callers that we had, and you heard the conversation here in the studio, one of the callers brought up a very interesting point. And we encourage you to call in 436-MeTV option 11 and offer up your opinion. One caller I found very fascinating said this is nothing more than a witch hunt against Hillary Clinton, and Democrats and specifically women will take notice to this in 2016.
I don't know. Are you calling Hillary Clinton a witch? I mean,
no, absolutely not. I would never do that.
No, I mean, look, this is part of the process. I mean, we go through everyone's email, we go through everyone's stuff. I've been researching Jeb Bush's alleged mistresses, which are said to exist in Florida. I mean, so there's
Well, we've heard about his mistresses for a long time.
Sure, but the thing is, it's never been kind of put together in kind of a comprehensive way yet.
Right.
So this is the price that politicians pay for being in the public eye, of having everything combed over, and it's as it should be. What I find interesting, though, is that there really isn't a punishment for not complying with the Federal Records Act. It's sort of like one of these things where you should do this. Well, if you don't actually put like a punishment of up to 5 years in prison, there's sort of no teeth to this regulation, to this law. And we know that Eric Holder has a private email address while he was working in the government. We know that other officials of the EPA, all throughout the government, use private email all the time. And oftentimes very unsecure. We went through Got News kind of how you would hack Hillary's email, hypothetically, if you would want to. And I've got to tell you, a lot of my hacker friends are like, I would do this if it were not a Clinton, because they're so afraid of the kind of political consequences of it. But, it's an unsecure email. It's quite easy to break into.
So what should the penalty be? And even if they open up congressional hearings on this, and she has to testify, and this like the congressman said here during the Benghazi hearings, this is going to come up. Maybe they might try to subpoena that server. We don't know where the server is. Hopefully somebody knows where it is. Hopefully it hasn't been destroyed. But even if she is found to have broken the law, clear, cut, and dry, what's the penalty?
Well, there isn't one. I mean, so this is the problem we face, and we can't really write a law after the fact to then punish her.
She's not going to jail.
No. And the server was set up in Chappaqua in her home there. She's turned over half of all the emails to the State Department, so there's another half that's outstanding. And we know from the Guccifer hacker who released some of Sid Blumenthal's emails a while back, who's now in jail, unfortunately. A Romanian hacker. We know that she was discussing kind of opinions of world leaders with a longtime friend, and so I don't think there's going to be any kind of punishment for this. And perhaps next time you get the Congressman Nunes in, you could ask him this. But I find it really interesting, by the way, that the Benghazi people didn't even know that there was a Hillary Clinton private email. I mean,
somebody knew, because
haven't we been investigating her for years on this, and yet we didn't know?
Here's the interesting thing, Charles. If you're a member of the White House staff, let's say, and you receive an email from Hillary Clinton, you're immediately going to recognize that that's not a government email. Somebody had to know.
Oh, well, the first thing I would do if I were in government is set up a private email, because I get more control over my email. I think because there's no teeth behind any of these regulations, you're going to see more people. And as somebody who's written a book about Calvin Coolidge and U.S. presidents, I think it's really dangerous for the record, 50 years hence, like what actually happened during the Obama years. We won't really know.
Yeah, until years down the road.
Yeah, even still, how would we know? Because we can't get access to her emails.
But I think the perception is with Hillary Clinton is that, oh, here we go again. We're turning the clock back to the 90s. The Clintons are slippery. They're slithery, they're hard to pin down, they always have an excuse for everything. Is that the perception?
Well, to a certain extent, it's the reality, too. I mean, Bill Clinton did lie under oath. He was impeached for that. He wasn't removed from office, but the Clintons, to quote some of the earlier Obama supporters, they're fantastic liars. And they've been doing this a long time. And so, yeah, to a certain extent, we are doing a retread of the 90s. But Republicans are also doing a retread of the 2000s with thinking about nominating Jeb Bush.
Yeah. Hey, our question today, I want to put that back up one more time. And it deals with the Clinton emails scandal, I guess you could call it now. And I want to ask you the question, Charles. Will Hillary Clinton's email snafu affect her presidential run? I want to ask you, and I want to ask our viewers out there to call in and maybe try to answer the question from your own standpoint, your own opinion. What's your take?
I think it's probably too soon to tell. I think it will be one of an overarching kind of narrative that forms of the Clintons being corrupt and being one of the other scandals that we haven't talked about with Hillary is all of the foreign donors who've given all this money to the Clinton Global Initiative and who are clients of the kind of Clinton world, Teneo and some of the other holding companies. And I think that with a few other things, the Hillary momentum is sort of slowing as time goes on. And her presidential run is well underway. I mean, that's why she's getting the criticism and scrutiny she's getting right now.
If my son, who is only 13, could hack into my ex-wife's computer, does it stand to reason that somebody, a terrorist overseas, could hack into Hillary Clinton's private emails.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean, the New York Times has written this. Others have written this. I mean, in terms of high-value targets, you know, on a 1 to 10 scale, she's a 10, if not a 15. I mean, the amount of access of information that she has going through her, going through her inbox. And by the way, this convenience argument about how she couldn't have 2 phones because, I mean, it's just silly. Like I get 8 emails on this iPhone. Like it's an absurd argument. And those of us who are kind of tech savvy, who are millennials, are just kind of laughing at all this. It's kind of strange.
Here's the thing. I mean, as Secretary of State, you have all kinds of Secret Service people around you. You mean to tell me she couldn't have 2 or 3 phones and say, "Sir, can you hang on to that for a minute because I have to check this one. I have to check. Can you hang on to that?"
I mean, there are photos of her handing off her phone to people.
She's surrounded by hundreds of people wherever she goes.
Indeed. And you know what's interesting about this is that she's oftentimes using Wi-Fi in other countries. So it's an unsecured email address over an unsecured Wi-Fi network. So it's like, why don't you just leave the keys in the car and leave it running for me?
Let's do the Wi-Fi there.
I don't know. Maybe in some cases I think the Wi-Fi at Starbucks is more secure because I have to worry about the lawsuits. But in any event.
Hey, we got to take a break. We're talking with internet journalist Charles C. Johnson, gotnews.com. Check it out on your computer. We're going to be back with more of this conversation and much more. You're more than welcome to call in and chime in. We had Devin Nunes here, and now it's Charles C. Johnson, 436-MeTV, option 11.
It's almost time.
Now we'll find out once and for all about Clark Kent and Superman.
Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a TV show.
Yes, but who is he? What's his name?
He's Superman.
Golly, Clark, won't that be wonderful seeing Superman
fighting a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and television the MeTV way.
No one can do the things that Superman does.
The adventures of Superman.
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
All right, here is I guess this is an email remark from our staff that the snafu will help her, meaning Hillary Clinton. She's being singled out for undue and unnecessary scrutiny. She'll be perceived as a victim. What do you think? As a victim.
Well, she often plays this victim narrative about how she was dead broke when she was leaving the White House, even though, between 2000 and 2008, her husband, according to their own financial disclosures, made $110 million. If that's a victim, sign me up. I'll gladly be a victim for 1/10 of the price, or 1% of the price. But no, I mean, I think we spend a lot of time worrying about the politics of things. We should really get to the bottom of it. I mean, we should really kind of understand. I mean, the Microsoft Exchange server that was used to set up this email infrastructure in Chappaqua, there's somebody who set that up. That's a very sophisticated technical skill. Yeah. And we should find out who Hillary's IT guy is. I'd love to interview him and find out more about him and subpoena him before Congress.
If anybody could do it, I know you could, Charles.
Well, we've been looking for him, and he's elusive. But we'll find him.
Well, yeah, I know you will, and I'm going to have you back on the show and tell us about it. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air with Charles C. Johnson. Caller?
Let me ask you a real good question. You asked about the question about if it's going to hurt Hillary's chances of presidential being elected or nomination. No, there's no way. They're not going to find out about the emails. Number two, let's put it this: she did something illegal, and like you said, there's nothing they can do. Okay, and the question is this. You don't think that the president's staff or any member of the president's staff didn't see the emails come, so what they did was pull it out and showed it to the president because after Clinton left the department, they didn't get along. And you notice now, and I can tell you right off the bat, now they get along. So there had to be something, emails that she had, put on her phone or whatever, that was illegal. So the staff, or it had to be the staff of the President of the United States, pull it out, and it's going to use it for whenever he needs it, okay? And that's a good question because nobody else could have done that. The staff, they're always checking the emails anyway, so they had children to the President to let her know that she's going to owe a favor.
Oh, so you're saying that there's a potential for future blackmail here. I think there's some real truth to that. I hadn't thought of that previously, but it's true. Like, I mean, you could conceivably have information that Hillary Clinton shared with you if you have the other receipt of that email, and you could probably use it later on. Even if it was kind of truthful, you could kind of wait to see what kind of things she says about her email and then present it later on. No, I mean there's some real kind of concerns about the honesty and transparency here. These concerns, by the way, with the new technology have dogged political power for a long time. I mean, Barack Obama, when he was running for president, was addicted to his BlackBerry, his CrackBerry as he called it. And they tried to secure this the technology behind his BlackBerry for a long time with mixed success. I mean, the Secret Service had issues with it. So we're kind of entering this new era where data is increasingly unsecure. And as we saw from kind of the hacking of the celebrities, with all the kind of naked pictures that were put up over the summer, the kind of mega hacks are going to become increasingly common as time goes on, and we need to figure out kind of ways of protecting it as time goes on.
So the difference between a private email account is that it's not encrypted. The government's email.
Well, you can encrypt it. So I encrypt my email accounts. But yes, go on. You can encrypt them. Yeah.
You can encrypt them. So we don't know if Hillary's private email was encrypted, right?
No, we actually know that they weren't.
They were not.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, and 55,000 of them. Okay, there has to be many thousands more after that we don't even know about.
Well, perhaps. I mean, we're basically just kind of taking her word for it.
Right. And why did she decide? Okay, these are the ones I'm releasing. Why can't the State Department decide?
Sure. And why can't? I mean, just like if you were being investigated by your boss or something, why you wouldn't just say, "Oh, here are all the emails that I think you should see, boss."
Right.
It's kind of a strange concept. But what I think we should do is kind of pull all of the two files. So, like, if she sends something to within the government with her, HDR 22 at Clinton. Email. If we went and then pulled all the people who received the emails within the government service, which we could theoretically do, we might get a more complex or complete picture. And if I were in the House, that would be something that I would subpoena.
Yeah. Caller, go ahead.
What's the difference between the Hillary emails and the Nixon tapes?
Okay.
It's a bit before my time, but I think you're onto something here. I mean, look, there is a certain sense to which the public and the private, the disconnect between the two of them kind of makes for interesting drama in politics. I mean, at Got News, that's sort of what we do. We look for the unguarded moments, the evidence that shows that the Brian Williamses of the world or the Hillary Clintons of the world or, the whoever's of the world were lying. And I think it is surprising that she would. First of all, it's surprising that she would have so many emails to begin with, and then that she would only turn over half of them. Mm-hmm. I'd be curious to see which one she turned over, because I guarantee that there, what is the criteria by which she turns over some and not others? What's a private versus a personal email? If she's discussing business and pleasure, on her emails, as we all do, who was the one making those determinations? Was it a low-level staffer? I mean, it's hard to think that they went through all 33, or 40,000 emails and decided this one, but not this one, that one, but not that one. And so I'd be surprised that she may have, in the material she turned over already, she might have had some incriminating information as well.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to go through them. I'd love to get that opportunity.
Why wasn't her personal email encrypted? In your opinion, it would have been easy to do.
Lack of attention to detail. I have a Google verification on my phone. So basically, if you ever access my email without Wi-Fi, I get an alert. And so I don't know why she didn't do it. It's
I
kind
could
of
do it on my phone if I wanted,
anyone
right?
can. Yeah, I can show you how to do it in the break.
Yeah.
But one of the things we learned in the Edward Snowden era is that you've got to be much more careful about your data, because what your data is it can often give you a good reflection as to who you are.
By the way, speaking of Edward Snowden, he says he misses America, wants to come back.
Well, I don't blame him. It's quite cold in Russia. No, he lived in Hawaii before. I mean, trading Hawaii for Russia doesn't seem like a good trade.
You see him coming back? I mean, he's got prison time. Right?
Difficult to say.
I don't know. I don't know.
We'll see.
Hey, caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hi, John, and hi, Charles. Charles, you seem like you'd be the guy that maybe can understand. So it's kind of interesting about the conversation you're having about whether the Clinton's emails were encrypted or not encrypted. I guess the other question, I'm a technical guy and I have a pretty good understanding of how the web works. There's also the way that the emails are configured on the various devices that are connected to that server. And for instance, if she has her phone or laptop or computer configured via IMAP or POP3, difference being is one leaves the messages on the server and the other, once it's downloaded to that device, it's no longer on the server. So there could very well be other devices floating out there that may have email communications that are not sitting on the server. So do you know anything in regards to how the devices were configured and what devices and more details?
No, you're exactly right. I mean, your analysis is spot on. I mean, I think this is, in fact, why a lot of Apple products are not permitted, and why a lot of security people in D.C. use BlackBerry, because of how it's basically security concerns. But you're exactly right. We don't know a lot of this. There's no reason to think that she went through special procedures for her iPad or her iPhone. She actually said that she didn't use an iPhone until recently. Well, I have a photo that I got today that seems to show her using an iPhone in 2010. Which I'll be posting later at Got News and on my Twitter account at Chuck C. Johnson. And you're exactly right. I mean, we don't know enough of this. We don't know enough at this stage. There's no reason to believe, though, given how little security precautions she's taken already. There's no reason to believe that she would have gone through more.
Okay, got to take a break here. We'll come back. We'll talk more about this with Charles C. Johnson, 436 MeTV option 11. Hey, I want to put that question of the day back up on the screen here before we go to break. It concerns Hillary Clinton and her run for office. 20 months to go here before the presidential campaign. Well, the election is in 20 months. Anyway, Hillary Clinton's email snafu, is it going to affect her presidential run in November of 2016, my friends? That's the question. You can call in at 436 MeTV option 11. Back in a moment.
Euronews, most watched news channel in Europe.
Back here on the program, and Charles, so what is I mean, I have an iPhone and you have an iPhone, sure. but what's the difference between, I guess like previous caller kind of touched on this, the difference between the Apple products and say a BlackBerry or a regular PC?
Well, part of the issue is that the iPhone data is often stored in the cloud, like an iCloud, okay. And so it's less secure. It's easier to access, I think is the way to understand it. But a lot of BlackBerry technology, this is sort of the only reason I think still to use a BlackBerry. It's sort of like an older kind of piece of technology, but a lot of it is much more you can basically encrypt it easier. You can have access to it on your own servers. You can basically protect. If you were thinking about, like, if I were to throw you a message, right, basically you can intercept it a lot easier on the iPhone because the technology is not as secure. And so there are all sorts of problems with that, particularly when she's traveling in foreign countries using her iPad. I mean, if you're using your iPad, you're going to be pinging off some cell tower somewhere with your data plan, particularly if you have an international data plan. And from that point of contact, it can be kind of taken over. And right now, the encryption process, I use a program called Wicker, which allows me to send encrypted messages, which deletes. Another one is Groovio for video. There's obviously a Silent Phone, Silent Text, which are other kind of encryption programs. There's actually a great article on how to be Edward Snowden, which the Glenn Greenwald people set up, and I highly recommend it to anyone who's sort of more security conscious out there.
Okay. Another phone call here. Good morning. You're on Connect with me with Charles C. Johnson. Go ahead. Caller, go ahead. I hope you're...
I wanted to know if you could help me out here. Who's both of our senators, John? Is it Feinstein and Vidak?
No, you mean our U.S. senators or who? Our state senators?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure I understand the question. Go ahead and speak up. Sir, go ahead.
Is it Vidak and Feinstein?
Well, our U.S. senators are Barbara Boxer and Feinstein.
Yeah.
Dianne Feinstein.
So what's your question today?
My question is, that's my question. Who's our senators? Who's our both California senators?
Well, it would be
Barbara
yeah,
Boxer
it's
and Dianne Feinstein.
yeah. I mean, yeah, they have been for a long time. I'm kind of taken back here. That's the only question you have?
1 second.
Well,
I mean, it's been Boxer and Feinstein for many years.
The journey to education starts with a single step, I guess.
I guess so. But Dianne Feinstein is the one who said this past weekend that Hillary needs to come clean. And many people are thinking right now, well, maybe she hasn't come clean even after the news conference. And the question is, okay, will there be some light shed on this Benghazi case because of this email snafu?
Well, I've got to say, with the IRS scandals, with the Benghazi scandals, I mean, the Congress is clearly not really well equipped to get to the bottom of a lot of these things. I mean, think about the terrorist attack in Benghazi occurred on September 11, 2012. How do we already not know that Hillary Clinton has a private email address? Like, wouldn't that be kind of one of the first things you would notice if you were a Benghazi investigator, especially if you're trying to ascertain her whereabouts that night? And so I think it's really kind of interesting. I don't think the Congress, I think the Congress oftentimes thinks like lawyers, which many of them are, rather than like actual investigators. And I certainly saw that when I was doing my research on the congressional investigation, on the IRS scandals, seen that on other issues as well. They're not kind of equipped, I think, a lot of the times to get to the bottom of it because they're always concerned about the politics rather than about the actual evidence, and they're more thinking about things in terms of West Wing than, say, Sherlock Holmes, if you will.
Right, and even if they got Hillary on the hot seat to testify before Congress, who has the courage to put her on the hot seat and get the answers out of her that are needed?
Right, and you remember last time she testified before Congress, she suddenly fell ill or she had some surgery that was done on her.
Right.
Now, I don't know, maybe she was quite ill, maybe it was the stress of everything. We're told that she had a issue with her brain. She had a stroke. Maybe we're not really quite sure about her health.
Is that going to be an issue in 2016?
Well, we'll see. I mean, she'll be 69 years old. I think the argument, though, that she's making about this is a convenience thing, which is why she set up her server, is insane. I mean, it's really it's a ridiculous argument. And because it's obvious that the reason she did it is because she didn't want people to be able to subpoena her records when she was about to run for president. I don't blame her. It's kind of a smart thing. Like, if I were in her shoes, I would do the same thing, particularly as there's no real penalty to breaking the rules. I mean, it's like one of those, you should brush your teeth. Well, if you don't,
yeah.
Well, the Republic will endure,
yeah, life goes on.
So I think it's interesting given that. I think it's interesting how quickly this scandal has kind of metastasized, but I would be interested in seeing the ones that she has released because I think there might be some interesting information there.
How long would it take? We got a minute left. How long would it take to find out if national security was breached?
Well, I think we already know, actually, from some of the emails, that some of the material that's already been released, that she's been discussing kind of confidential things. And she said, she never intercepted or dealt with classified information in between 2 points. Well, first of all, what's the point of having Secretary of State if she's not dealing with classified information? So it sort of strains credulity. But I think it's very probable. The reason she's saying that it didn't happen is that if she did do this, that's a real serious felony. That carries up to 5 to 10 years in jail per infraction.
Yeah. You're going to come back on the 23rd and talk about, not specifically Hillary, but other things that you've been working on, investigative stuff on gotnews.com. Hey, talking to journalist, and I think a very highly respected journalist, internet journalist, is Charles C. Johnson, gotnews.com. Sir,
well, thank you for having me. I think I'll have a fun scandal for you guys next time. I'm kind of saving it, so maybe we'll discuss it then.
We got less than a couple of weeks here before we'll see you again.
So, thank you for having me.
All right, thank you. Short notice, too. Thank you. All right, back with more of this program tomorrow on MeTV Fresno and Comcast and all the rest. We're going to talk about the paranormal tomorrow. That's right, so get ready, my friend. Get that Ghostbuster suit ready to go. See you tomorrow. Have a great day.